Yeah, I think and everyone should just look at this graph and try to understand what this means. That what are we saying yes to? What are we saying no to? Right? These are the risks. If you say cooling the planet artificially by whatever means is too risky, you need a scale, and you need to put the risk from doing it on one scale and from not doing it on the other scale, and then make a balanced decision,
Right, right,
right?
right.
And this is by Zeke Hausfath and David Keith. They have an opinion piece in the New York Times today, and it's a responsible way to cool the planet. And it's not, you might think from the picture that it's by adding mirrors all over the planet except for the US, but that's not what they propose. Um, so what they say here, and I just of course highlighted this, is that as world leaders gather in New York um, for the UN General Assembly and Climate Week, any discussion of sunlight reflection should have a clear and forcible commitment to never cool the Earth more than today's current sulfur emissions do. And it should come with a clear off-ramp as the world reaches net zero emissions and scales up carbon removal technologies later this century. The program should end.
So this makes, by the way, I should mention we had both David and Zeke on Climate Chat. We had David on a couple times. And I just ran into Zeke, I don't know, a month ago at a party and was talking to him about some of these things. I do not understand this because the implication is that cooling from geoengineering or solar radiation management or sunlight reflection methods, whatever you want to call it, that doing that is more dangerous than the warming it's stopping. Because right now, I mean, we could argue about it, but aerosols are cooling the Earth by somewhere about 0.5 to 1 degree C, maybe a little more if what you and Jim Hansen, your studies show that aerosols have a bigger effect than we thought. But even so, the IPCC typically throws in like 0.5 degree cooling number. And
Yeah,
so
but
let's
there
just
is a
say,
big uncertainty. So
with a big uncertainty. So that's why I say 0.5 to 1. But so we're at 1.5 degrees now with that half. Let's just call it half for the purpose of this discussion.
let's call it one.
Okay, to call it 1. So if we're at 1 of cooling and the measured temperature is 1.5 now, that means we're really at 2.5 if we got rid of all the aerosols tomorrow. And it's a little unclear, are they saying we should do geoengineering on top of the current sulfur emissions? I think. Because what they're also saying, when we get to net zero, we get rid of all our, let's say, low-level aerosol emissions, the accidental ones, we would also stop the purposeful ones in the stratosphere. And we'd have zero cooling. And that means we would be at the 2.5 we're at now, plus let's be conservative and just say we only go up 0.5 degree from now, but of course it would be more than that. But so that would mean we would be at what they're proposing, just reading this, is at 2050, and this is, of course, we're not going to be at net zero, but let's say we do it. We actually do it. Wow, incredible. We cut off all our fossil fuel emissions, which includes the cooling aerosol emissions, and we have whatever existing underlying warming there is, and that's at least 3 degrees, which is utterly catastrophic. We had Kevin Anderson on a while ago. He's been a returning guest. In 2010, and I have this memorized. In 2010, he wrote, because it shook me up when I read it, he wrote that a 4-degree warming world would not be compatible with an organized global community, which means collapse of civilized society. It would be devastating to the majority of ecosystems, would be beyond adaptation, so you're not going to just turn up your air conditioner and deal with it, and it would not be stable, and that 4 degrees would lead to 5, and 5 would lead to 6. When I had him on last time, I asked him, did he have any update for that? And he said, well, with what we know, it's probably more likely that the number is 3 degrees, not 4 degrees for all of those things. Because we've been learning that the impacts of climate change are worse than we thought, 20 years ago and stuff like that. So 3 degrees is like absolutely unacceptable. I mean, and we're not even into tipping points yet of AMOC collapse and things like that would screw up everything.
Right, yeah.
So I don't get it, because what they're saying is that they would accept, I mean, this is literally what they're saying, because they know, by the way, they're climate scientists. They know, and most public doesn't know this. The public thinks if you stop emitting CO2 is causing global warming. Let's stop emitting CO2 and that would fix everything. No, it doesn't work like that. CO2 lasts in the atmosphere for hundreds to thousands of years. So when you finally stop emitting it, if you're lucky, it stops getting warmer, but it doesn't get cooler. And we can.
I think that this graph shows like what that means, right? It's these are the tipping points, and it means the Greenland ice sheet collapses, more or less, right? Or of course,
maybe already.
Of course, we are taking the precautionary principle into consideration. So let's say if we reach the pink, we are going to we've reached the tipping point, right? So then we have the Greenland ice sheet collapsing. So I will lose my country. We'll lose Florida. We'll lose large parts of Bangladesh. We'll lose many island states. We lose many or most of the coastal cities around the world, right? So that, I don't think that the governments, once they realize what this means, to accept it. But that's what that would mean if you would not. If that what it means, that we are now crossing this line, right? When it's Antarctic ice sheet again, so that's 7 plus about 4 is 11 meters of global sea level rise. We are now committing to already. So that's 11 meters.
By the way, I should say that the last time CO2 was today's level, like 420 parts per million. The last time that was true, sea levels were about 75 feet higher than they are now. And that's where we're heading. That's where we're heading anyway. It just takes a long time to get there.
Yeah, so that's in East Antarctica. But I'm not. I just headed West Antarctica and Greenland, so that's about 11 or 12 meters.
Which is kind of enough for me, all major coastal cities being destroyed. Yeah, I mean, many times over there, and all island nations destroyed. Yeah.
So that's already will be enough for many, like rich countries like Dubai wants to keep its nice sand castles in the middle of the ocean and invest billions in, right? And this Formula One racetracks that the Dutch build in the ocean as well. So all these the rich countries that can cause cooling or can they will want to do that only by looking at the first point. And I think, to me, tropical reefs are also quite valuable, and we should consider them, and we should not let them die off. In a way, we cannot wait to start taking this more and more very seriously, and try to save the coral reefs before they are the tropical coral reefs before they're gone. Of course, if the permafrost starts thawing abruptly, we'll have we might not even be able to keep CO2 concentrations down enough. More sea ice, and then of course we can go on. Glaciers, like Europe is already losing all its glaciers this century. Monsoon shifting. Okay, so food.
The Atlantic current collapse, by the way, is very conservative in this chart. All the recent the AMOC collapse is way down there with a very large range, but it does go down to today's level. So that actually is. But I think the central estimate, I think, in the last 2 years of research is moving to the left there. Closer to the Peter
Cox talked about this in detail, and it's so I think this doesn't include Greenland ice melt and other things. So, but and then the Amazon as well. The Amazon is already dying, so this doesn't include deforestation. So there's other stresses which are also important. So yeah, I think and everyone should just look at this graph and try to understand what this means. That what are we saying yes to? What are we saying no to? Right? These are the risks. If you say cooling the planet artificially by whatever means is too risky, you need a scale, and you need to put the risk from doing it on one scale and from not doing it on the other scale, and then make a balanced decision.
Right.